I'm a polyglot. I'm all over the place, me. In terms of where I get my learning from, I'm not posh.
Power to Live More with Joe Dodds.
Welcome to the Power to Live More podcast, all about productivity, organisation, well-being, energy and resilience. I'm Joe Dodds, and I started this show to enable interesting people to share their stories about how they use their power to live more, and by that I mean to do the stuff that they want to do more than the stuff that they need to or should do. It's about creating a life for yourself where you have the energy, health and space to be happy and fulfilled, spending your time as you'd like, whether that be at work, home or somewhere else entirely. That's your choice.
Hello, my name is Ellie Dodds and I'm co-presenter. And today Joe's interviewing Amechi Udo. Joe and Amechi connected via the Virtual Speaker Pro community, where Joe's an expert speaker. Amechi is the founder and lead career strategist at career coaching and training company Your Career Matters. Passionate about helping professionals and organisations create and experience satisfying, rewarding careers, Amechi has helped hundreds of people do this internationally. Based in the UK, Amechi has worked from home for over 15 years, integrating his professional life with that of a father of two. Outside of his work, Amechi is an avid and frustrated Arsenal fan, keen bread maker and family cook. Back to the studio.
Today I'm interviewing Amechi Udo of Your Career Matters. So welcome Amechi, great to have you with me.
Hi Joe, nice to meet you over the phone.
Yeah, so tell us a bit more about you, what you do and where you do it.
What I do is I help individuals and organisations create the careers they deserve. I do it from home, which is now Wellingborough. I recently moved from Croydon. I've got two young children, one who's at junior school and one who's a toddler, just coming up for 2. Life is very interesting, and the working from home piece has been something I've been doing for about 15, 16 years.
Wow.
But it's gone through various iterations as I've worked and developed, and my life has changed, and the life of those I've been involved with has changed too. So,
and how do you actually work with your clients?
I'm a very sociable character. I prefer to be around people, particularly in terms of generating ideas, developing ideas, and getting stuff complete. I know what I'm strong at, and that isn't always my forte, sort of getting stuff completed quickly. So I had to start building my own support networks and communities to help.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate in that I went into coaching and literally bumped into people who were coaching. I did a program with Nick Williams, who's the author of The Work We Were Born to Do, and he's the author of many other books and programs as well, but that was the one for me. And I went and I did his workshop, and on that workshop I met 2 people that stand out. One who became the first live coach that I'd met, and the other who became my first coaching client. And the person that the first live coach that I met, a lady called Gilly Shaw, she actually said, hey, you want to get down to the London Coaching Group? They meet every month. It's a great community, a great network, and you also want to join the UK coaching list, which was at that time a UK focused online coaching group, exchanging information around coaching. Now for me that was great, because I went from thinking I'm all isolated, I'm all on my own, I've got no one to talk to, bounce ideas off, to wow, here's hundreds of people to communicate with. In the early days of email, I mean, I'm talking squeaky noise dial-up.
That was a very good impression.
The early days of it all. And exchanging emails with those. And that group has now evolved into a Facebook group called the Euro Coach List, which is a closed group can apply to be a part of that if you're interested in coaching, or you currently coach and need more company. So the bottom line was, I gradually started to evolve working time or working patterns, and support systems that help me. I've been part of online telephone mastermind groups that have helped give some structure and rhythm to the day as well. I think it's safe to say, to use the D word, some discipline around getting things done, and keep being accountable and developing your thinking, because you do need, I for one anyway, need the stimulus of others. I think it's the big evolution, and talk a bit more about it later when we talk about resources, but the big evolution is now the access to stuff that can help you with your thinking, with your thoughts, your activities. If anything, it's gone the other way now. I can tap into almost anything. I think our kids are they look at us both, and me and my partner, and see that we are twinned, in the sense that we both have iPhones and we both have our headphones in, and we're both listening to an audio book or a YouTube or something else. Right. What did you say? Sorry, the plug.
But the age of information moving into the age of overwhelm. It's interesting, actually. Yesterday, little Doddsy thought she tricked me into whether the tooth fairy exists or not. So she's been quite up on Father Christmas for a couple of years, but I heard her telling her friend a little while ago that she knows that there's no Father Christmas, but she's sure that there is a tooth fairy. So she came to me having lost a tooth sometime in August, and was away at the time, so she kept it in an envelope and brought it home, and then said she was going to put it under her pillow, sometime further down the line, which of course is the kiss of death to us parents, because then you don't know. And she tricked me purposely to see whether, if she put it under her pillow and didn't tell me, whether any money appeared under there, and it didn't. So then she decided that must mean that the tooth fairy doesn't exist, and you know how you try and cling, well, you don't know, your children aren't old enough yet, but you cling on to these things of their childhood. So but I'm a very honest person as well, so I was a bit like, so I was going to her. She'd go, no, come on, tell me the truth. So I said, I said, I'm surprised you haven't Googled it yet, Ellie. so we did. We Googled it. Does the tooth fairy exist? And of course, there's a whole raft of information, including somebody who'd asked the question on Quora, and this lady written a really long story about why, of course, it exists. Of course, she exists, and why would you be even asking the question? And so we read a load of stuff online last night, which is really funny. And then she put her tooth under her pillow last night, but she told me. And money was under there, and I've now looked and it's not there anymore, but she hasn't admitted it. So we're now in this sort of funny virtual, sort of world of not knowing who's tricking who at the moment. But it just makes me laugh that, we were able to Google, does the tooth fairy exist? And fortunately, there's lots of resources out there that tell you that it does. She does.
There you go.
So,
we may have to save this one as an outtake for no spoilers.
Well, she does do the intros, but she doesn't actually listen back to any of the rest of it. So we'll get away with it. Don't you worry. I'll play it to her in a few years' time. But I do think to pick up some of the things you've said, I think from my own experience as well of working from home, that so much of it is about self-awareness. You talked a lot about needing support and interaction with other people, and that's something that I actually don't need. I get it because I do things where that happens, if you like, but it's something that I don't need to seek out, because I am quite an introvert, much to people's amazement, because I'm also very noisy and sociable when I'm in public, if you like. But actually, for me, a perfect day is silence, no phones, no people, locked in my office. So I wouldn't seek out a coffee shop just for that sort of ambient noise, because it's not something that that I need. But it's taken me a long time to sort of really work that out and craft my life, if you like, around that stuff. And thinking about the things that I do and what I offer to clients, I keep going to offer things that I see other people offering, thinking that that's what I should be doing, and then realizing it doesn't suit my personality and what I actually want to do. Whereas 5, 6, 7 years ago, I would have still done it. Now I would pull back, knowing myself better. Do you find that that's what's happened with you? It's sort of, as you say, 15, 16 years. Have you really got to know yourself well in that time?
Yeah, I mean, I was reflecting on, I suppose, what I would describe as my golden era of working from home.
I actually tell me more.
Well, I literally, I was working as an associate of a particular company, and it basically meant that I was working 1 week in 4. I'd go out, I'd deliver my stuff, I'd come back, I'd store what I needed to store for the next time. I did a little bit of stuff on the computer, but nothing excessive. And yeah, I've got to say it was great, because I then had much more time for other facets of my life, and it's something I was going to touch on later. But there's a book by Susan Jeffers called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Yep.
And one of the elements that which is often talked about is this whole work-life balance, integration, blah, blah, blah. But she puts it in very sharp focus. She's got a grid, and the grid in the first picture is the grid is empty. It's a large box. Then in the second one, she says, right, put work in it. That's it. So now the box is full.
Over. Yeah.
Now take work out. Oh, now life is empty.
Yeah.
Now divide that same box into a grid of 3 columns and 3 rows. So
Okay.
you have nine boxes.
Yeah.
Each box, put things that you have in your life: work, family, friends, partner, pets, holidays, hobbies, interests, travel, for example.
Yeah.
Now take work out. Oh, I still have a life.
Yeah.
I still have lots of things that I do, that I'm interested in, that I'm passionate about, and are fulfilling. And yes, work is important, but it's in the context of the rest of my life,
Yes.
not all of my life. And although I can't go back in time to the life I lived back then, when I first was kind of working from home, I can take that Susan Jeffers message and look at my life now and go, okay, there are times when, yeah, actually, work may be occupying 2 or 3 boxes instead of its normal 1.
Yeah.
But there are still other aspects of my life, and sometimes some of the other boxes are empty. We've just come back from holiday. The Olympics has been on. We were away for 3 weeks out in Poland, where my partner comes from. We were in the countryside. Days filled with walks in the forest and going to other family members who own farms, and coming back with corn that you've pulled off from the farmer's field and stuff like that. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
And I came back and I thought, that's probably been me doing more exercise, being more active, being more thoughtful and reflective around what I'm doing with my business. Is there a message here about time that I'm managing and how I'm managing it?
Yeah.
And obviously there is. And so whilst I can't transplant what I had on holiday back here, the lessons I brought back are, okay, yeah, let's revisit the grid and let's see, what else am I doing? I think just before we went on holiday, I was certainly feeling, I'm just working. If I'm not working, I'm doing all the core stuff around nourishing the children in terms of literally food, clothes, and all of that. But not much real engagement and enjoyment of them, of me, of myself and my partner, our lives. We're all running.
Yeah.
Nobody's standing still. I think it's probably best summed up when I a few years back, I went on holiday to a place called Bideford.
I know Bideford.
Well, I actually went to Appledore, but we did a day trip to Bideford. And I used to live in London at that stage, and I was in London mode. I was zooming through the street, and this elderly lady just turned to me and she said, "Slow down."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
I get your point. And it's such a simple message, but also so powerful.
Yeah.
As a command, slow down. Okay. Metaphorically as well as physically, just. Whew.
Yeah.
And now, when I'm doing a lot of the things that I do at home, I am mindful of stuff. You know, even simple things like you might. This morning I was washing up. I was also putting some porridge in a tub for my son, so he hadn't eaten all of his breakfast, so he could have something later. And I found myself attempting perversely to try and put the lid on the tub at the same time as wash up. And I thought, you could create two whole worlds of mess here.
Yeah.
Finish one, do it, breathe, finish the other. And I know it sounds like very simple, very trite, very easy, but when we look at the way that we're living our lives, we're running our lives, or things are running us, it can be very easy to, I'll just, and while I'm, and the other, and no, actually, it's no problem to actually just sit still, stop, be, breathe. It's all right, you know. All the rest of the stuff is stuff.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. We're just recording this. It won't be going out for a little while, but we're just recording this as the children go back to school. And, you know, I just reflect on the last 6 weeks. I think it's probably been the best summer holidays we've had. And I've enjoyed so much time with the family and with Ellie, but also got stuff done and, you know, sorted my office out and sorted some of the house out. And we've got a new rabbit and we've gone through all of that settling in stuff, you know, the amount that we've packed in. But I sort of, I'm reflecting on, you know, that I could still pack a lot in now and continue to work in the same sort of way. It doesn't have to be just in the holiday. It's interesting, you know, that I don't want to slip back in, you know, traditional work mode when I know that I can get lots done if I work in holiday mode, if you like, almost. So I'm trying to work out how I can continue with that whilst it not being the holidays, if you like. So there we go.
Well, I think the fact that you're willing to explore it is enough in itself.
Yes, yeah, and
it's all an exploration. There's no sort of,
So moving on a bit, let's talk a bit about sort of getting stuff done. So we've talked about that whole reflection and whatever. So we're currently in this little reverie where we're not going to actually do much work.
Productivity, delivery.
Not around being mindfully on holiday, but how do you get stuff done? What do you? How
do I get stuff done? I think my favourite tool to help me in getting stuff done, at least in capturing what is there to do, is my phone. I use the iPhone notes part of it a lot.
Yeah.
And the audio recorder as well. Prior to using the iPhone, I was a big fan of the Palm and the Palm Pilots. So they were great till mine died. So I used that to schedule things in. You know, at a basic level, I know appointments. I know things that might be coming up. I'm an NLP practitioner, and one of the elements that I've learnt around that is you can either be in the moment all the time, or you can be aware of moments that are behind in the now and coming up. And you can also learn how to switch from one to the other.
Yeah.
I was very much in the moment a lot of the time when I was doing work. Oh yeah, I'm just focused. This is great, and I'm just getting on with it. And oh, is that the time? which can be great as long as there is nothing else scheduled.
Yeah.
And now, quite literally, because of the digital switch in terms of diaries, I could do paper diaries, but I never really connected with them. I never really enjoyed using them. But a digital diary allows me that opportunity to look forwards and backwards and at the present. You know, oh right, last week I spoke to this client. I agreed to do this, this, and this. It's now a couple of days on. Have I sent it? Yes, I have. I'm waiting for it to come back. Okay. Mm-hmm. Next week I've got an appointment with them again. Or looking at where I am now.
Yeah.
Is that appointment still okay? Yes, it is. Oh, no, I need to make an adjustment around that, etc. So it makes it very easy in that respect.
So you use your calendar for those appointments. So when you talk about using notes and using the audio, do you end up with just sort of one big long list, or do you organise it by project or by client? How does that work?
No, I have different notes for different things, so ideas will come, and sometimes those ideas will come again and again. And initially that used to be like, oh, hold on, I've already thought about this. And now I go, I've already thought about this. So this probably means it's on my mind and it's important. And it's probably something I feel confident enough to take forward.
Right.
And so I can then take it off the phone and say, right, I now need to email it to myself and cut and paste it into a document and develop it. Either it's a blog post, you know, or it's a webinar, or it's an article, or it's any or all of those. Yeah. But there's something I can do with it. It's being taken out of my head and stored for later use, which is brilliant for me because I need that. I do suffer from ideasitis, so sometimes, yeah.
So that's your notes. So what other tools or apps do you use?
The audio bit around that is also really useful because there are times when, I don't know about you, but I've got a writer's voice. So I can actually hear myself expressing things in the way I want to.
Right.
And then I sit down at the computer and go, oh, I just want to remember that. And the editing voice kicks in. And it's like, oh, no, not like that. And it never quite comes out of my fingers the way that it comes out of my mind and out of my mouth.
Right.
Not always, but it takes a lot longer to get into that mode.
Yeah.
I've worked, I'm very grateful for working with a wonderful writing coach called Karen Williams of Libratus Books. And she's really brilliant at helping you to formulate your writing style and your writing methods and encouraging you to explore, to experiment with what works for you. Mm-hmm. And I remember saying to her, look, Karen, I'm really stuck with actually sitting down and doing my words for this book.
Yes.
But I've had a breakthrough. I'll do it on audio.
Yep. Because
that actually is really where I want the reader to hear me.
Mm-hmm.
And to speak and to write as I speak in respect to some of this.
Yeah.
So they really get it, not just, oh wow, that's beautifully edited and lovely, great typography and quite dull, sterile kind of text. There's no life to it.
Yeah. So what's the app that you use for that?
It literally is just the audio recording facility on the phone.
Just the iPhone one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And again, because I can then plug that in, put it on the phone, put it on my computer, send it as a file if I want to.
Yeah.
There are other. If I wanted to store it elsewhere, I could use Audio Acrobat to store it all online. And when I get round to it, I can send it all off to somebody to. Audio typist to just get it all typed up and say, right, great, thank you, because I don't need to do that bit.
No,
I'm not a touch typist, and even if I were, it probably wouldn't be what I'd want to focus my time on.
No,
I'd much prefer to give it to someone who can. Oh wow, I do 90 words a minute,
Yeah.
90% correct at first time, and I can take what you sent and do it in a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely. I've been looking at doing audio for my blogging recently because I used to do a lot of written blogs, and now I just do so much audio that I just think it'd be a lot easier just to record something, have it transcribed and edit it, job done, sort of thing. So yeah, I buy into that definitely. Lovely. Any other tools or apps that you'd recommend?
My tools of choice. The latest app I'm playing with in relation to my Twitter account is Crowdfire. I'm using the free version, and that is, or should I say, freemium. That is it's a bit more than just a filter for people to be subscribed or unsubscribed on your Twitter account. It gives you some data fields to fill out to suggest who you might want to follow or who your competitors are.
Yeah.
It will do a bit of analysis and come back and say, okay, here's some things that you can now do that potentially can enhance your following and also manage the levels of relationships you have with people on your Twitter account. So, for example, it might say, unfollow these 25 people because their accounts are inactive.
Right.
Makes sense to me because they're just hanging around and there's no conversation. Equally, it might say follow these 50 people who are followed by your rivals. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
They've got a shared interest.
Yeah.
And it takes about 5 minutes a day.
Right.
To do it.
Yeah. Do you have any more on your list, or shall we move on to?
Yeah, I've just downloaded the LinkedIn app.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Which again, for me, it's moved things along in terms of being able to get in, see my stuff, respond, promote. I think I'm moving much more and raising my profile, and I found it far quicker to do that off my phone than I have off my desktop.
Yeah.
And it is far more laser focused because you literally choose, right, I'm going to that app, I'm doing these things, I'm coming out.
Yeah, that's true. And it goes back to what you're saying about using your phone mostly for a sort of task management tool, if you like. I find the same. There's lots of things I just do on my phone because they work better on the phone than they do on the computer, and that is less distracting, isn't it?
Yep. And I think I feel it's okay to go in and out on my phone.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about zoning out, then talk a bit about what you do when you're not working, how you relax, how you keep yourself healthy, that sort of thing.
I think some of it's about being in tune with myself. So if for example I think, oh God, I've been doing this and I've been running from here to there to get this done and that done, then actually it's about just putting that break in and sitting down.
Yeah.
Whether that's turning the TV on or not, it's more the actual enjoyment of sometimes just being at home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sit down, not at the computer, but on the sofa, and relax.
Yeah.
Children are asleep, partner's relaxing herself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to think, exercise my head much, if at all.
Yeah.
Just come back down. Living where we live now, it's much easier to go out and about for a walk. We've got lots of parks and a big country park, probably about half an hour away on foot from where we live. But it's a small town, so it doesn't take much to be back outside in greenery.
Yeah.
Which makes a big difference. We've got a garden, so just going out there. I'm not particularly I'm not a gardener by nature. I let nature do the gardening, and if it gives me something useful, then I'll pick it and eat it. We've got some nice blackberries in the garden at the moment. So when nature says, right, it's time for all the weeds to die off and all that to move back, then I'll get out there and I'll do a bit of pottering around and tidying up.
Yes.
As long as it doesn't take over, then that's okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is just, like I say, more just slowing down, turning off, and getting engaged or involved with other stuff. Simple things like reading. At the moment, I'm reading a book by John S. Williams called Screw Work, Break Free.
Yeah.
And he's also the author of Screw Work, Let's Play.
Yeah.
It's a really simple, one of it's a really simple book, a very enjoyable book. Reading it on the phone, Kindle.
Very good.
But those are my treats. And I think, again, because of where we live now, some of the treats are just being out and about, taking the air. Summer is still lingering, so enjoy it while we can.
Exactly. So you talked about reading that book, and you've talked about quite a few books as we've gone through. Is that the main way that you learn and improve yourself, or do you?
I'm a polyglot. I'm all over the place, me. where I get my learning from, I'm not posh. YouTube is a biggie for me.
Yeah.
Particularly TED Talks, in relation to sort of the whole work-life stuff that we're talking about. There's a great talk by Nigel Marsh,
right,
how to make work-life balance.
Okay.
And it's about 6 years ago, but I still think the messages are as true then as they are now.
So did you say it's how to make work and life balance?
How to make work-life balance.
Work-life balance, okay.
It's Nigel Marsh.
Yes, okay. I'll have a look at that.
I particularly like it because he's got a good turn of phrase and a bit of wit and humour about him as well.
Yes.
So
it's interesting. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I've heard the same guy say this before, that he doesn't think work and life should balance, and they used a metaphor of sitting on a swing, and that if not on a swing at all, ignore me. Sitting actually, I was going to say my child's too old now. You see, I can't remember all the playground things. Sitting on a seesaw, and how if you have the seesaw balanced, is actually really boring. Which I thought was a really interesting analogy. And so they were sort of, I can't think what phrase he came up with instead, but it wasn't balance. It was
integration.
I tend to use integration, but it wasn't even that, and I can't think what they said now. But I thought it was interesting that they were saying he talks about shifting gear. I think I've talked about it on my newsletter, that when you drive a car, you don't balance your gears, you shift gears depending on what's going on. So you go, you speed up or slow down depending on what's going on around you. And I quite like that as an analogy for what you do in work and life and all that sort of thing. Well, can you remember the main sort of point of the TED Talk? I mean, I am going to go and watch it.
Yeah. The long and the short was they don't balance.
Right. Okay, good. We've just spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. They're always competing.
Yes.
It's apples and oranges.
Yes.
You turn around to your boss, even if you're self-employed, and say, "Hey, do you know what? What I'd like to do is I'd like to dedicate a full 1 hour with you, and then I'd like to go home, take care of all my domestic stuff, come back, do another hour with you, then go out, meet some friends, come back, do another hour with you, etc."
Sounds like my life.
That's what I'd want to. That's what some people might want to do.
Yeah.
But there are very few companies, if any, that start on that premise.
Yes. Yeah.
But there are very few bosses who turn around and say, "Well, actually, I don't mind how long you take to get the work done, or what methods you use, as long as you get it done by this point."
Yeah.
I'm not saying there aren't roles where that can happen, because there are, but generally we've got this constriction. I mean, the same issue is true for school, especially in the teenage years. You've got kids who, because I do a lot of programs in schools and colleges and around enterprise and entrepreneurship, and you will invariably see kids who are tired.
Yeah.
Tired because they're growing, tired because they've not gone to bed at a reasonable time, tired because it's a hot classroom, tired because they haven't had breakfast and a drink and so on and so on and so on, and tired because their bodies are actually saying, excuse me, my body clock says I have a rest around now.
Yeah.
And I've got a great screenshot on my phone of the human body clock saying, well, every hour this is what your body is doing, how it's functioning.
Yeah.
And we're trying to beat that. So I'm in the classroom. There's this kid, kids are tired, and I just think, do you know what? Some of those kids are night creatures.
Yes. Yeah.
It'd be great if they could come to school at night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other kids, they're morning creatures, and others kind of can do any time, and others kick in a little bit later during the day. But we don't do that. So, and again, in terms of working from home, you better know what your patterns are, because boy, if you're by yourself, great. And I can certainly say that when I was a single man living in my own space, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I got up and I went to work when I was ready to go to work. From bedroom to living room.
Yeah.
But as soon as you add a significant other, whether that's even a friend or a partner or other relative, you've got to start to work out, hold on a minute.
Yes.
What are my natural routines? What are my natural habits? Am I going to have to shift some of that stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how does that fit with the dynamic of an other, who is also got their own rhythm and their own needs and their own patterns?
Yeah.
And I think it's Tim Galway, who describes performance as potential minus interference.
Right.
So
yes, I like that.
You are at home, and have you turned your phone off? Are you only using one tab on the web at a time?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any deliveries scheduled for during the day?
Yeah.
Is your fridge full? Have you cleaned your house already at the weekend or a non-work time? If you've taken a lot of that interference out, then there's a good chance that you're going to get your stuff done.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you haven't, then you've got a fundamental question which says, what am I avoiding in order to focus on this other stuff? Because, that fluff in the corner and the ceiling really wasn't a priority the day before yesterday, but now I've got to do that proposal.
Yeah, exactly. I knew you were going to say that.
Once I tidy that, I think I'm going to be so much more productive.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. So we're running out of time here a bit. So tell me a bit more. Books, films, music. You talk about.
Okay, I'll condense it. Through Work, Break Free. John S. Williams, highly recommend. Structured 30-day program to play with one idea and develop it and see if it's got legs, rather than a myriad of projects that you never get started.
Yeah.
Manage Yourself, Manage Your Life by Ian McDermott and Ian Sharkle. I've lost count of the number of times I've given this book to people never to get it back because it's so good. I think it's now out of print, but I hope I didn't look on before the interview whether it was available on Kindle or I certainly know it's available secondhand on Amazon.
Yeah.
It is, to me, I think it's the best book written on NLP without having NLP written anywhere on the front of it ever.
Right.
Just because it gives people, we all use NLP, so it's like, it's not some secret art. It's just about what we think, what we say, and how we act.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just right for certain environments, and sometimes it's just wrong for certain environments. Yeah. It's got lots of stories and examples that just get you to think, all right, okay, now I get why that wasn't working over there. It's because it wasn't the right tool.
Mm-hmm.
And here are some other tools that might be better.
Yeah.
And let me experiment, and maybe if they work, great, use them. If they don't work, let them go and use something else.
Yeah.
I've mentioned Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Yeah. TED Talks, great. Because I help people around getting the jobs that they want and creating the careers that they deserve, I'm a strong fan of people who are job seekers actually understanding how the process works. And the best person I know to illustrate that is a guy called Lou Adler. Lou's American. He's given lots of talks that are available on YouTube, both in terms of helping organisations to understand their system is broken, they can do it better in terms of hiring people, and also increasingly now he's working on helping job seekers understand, excuse me, what you're doing is actually potentially sabotaging your success. So here's some other ways that you could be successful.
Yeah.
And I think there's not enough talks about that. I think that especially now, too many people are eating up too much of the time doing the wrong stuff to help them get the careers they deserve, and they can do so much better.
Yeah.
Just with a little bit of guidance from people like Lou, people like me, and there are many others out there as well.
Yeah. Lovely.
So those are my recommendations.
Excellent.
Oh, and a film.
Oh yeah,
as a film,
yeah, go on.
Limitless. Limitless.
Is that a one?
Yeah, everything's recent once you had a family.
Yeah, good point.
Oh, that came out in 1994. Oh, yeah, that's recent.
Yeah, you're right. I'm only asking that because I don't go to the cinema anymore. So yeah, okay. Well, I'll check that for sure.
Limitless came out about 2011, but in short, it was about a guy who is given a pill to take that can enhance his mental capacity. And then what happens next, how he uses that. And for me, in some respects, it encapsulates a lot of my clients. They come to me, they feel they're limited in some shape or form. I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the experience, I don't have this, I don't have that. And they swallow some coaching from me. And it changes them in the sense that they realise actually they've got a lot more potential, a lot more options, and they can focus that potential and actually perform a lot better. And likewise with organisations that I work with, they want to get more from their employees. They want to help them achieve more. They want to get more profits. There's no two ways about that.
Yeah.
But actually, with some small changes and minor tweaks, they can start to get much more without necessarily having to do too much more.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked Limitless.
Lovely, thank you. I will check that one out. So, what about on a day when things don't go right? When you have one of those days?
I laughed when you were mentioning bears earlier on, because that's me.
Oh,
Yeah, I do joke with the kids and with yourself. I saw his daddy was growling. I should try it with my partner a bit more as well on occasion. But yeah, I've got to say, I like to be in control of my stuff to a certain degree. Part of why I work for myself and part of why I work from home is a degree of autonomy.
yeah.
And when you're used to a certain level, when that's constrained, either by stuff at home or clients or just life in general, whether that's getting a train or not getting a train or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I don't always take it well. but equally I kind of go, well, these are my emotions. I could mope and grump. But first of all, let me make sure I'm actually putting it in the right place.
Yeah.
And secondly, do I need to speak about this? Not shout about it, but actually do I need to speak about it?
Yeah.
Get it off my chest, because if I don't, what might happen then? Well, then I might freak out because the toothpaste isn't closed.
Yeah.
Is that really what this is about? No, but that's what happens with
Cool.
me.
Okay. Yeah. And what about those days when you end the day knowing you've had the chance to live more? We talked about holidays and reflective times and being mindful and that sort of stuff. What do you do? What will you have done on those days where you think, wow, this is...
Enjoyed it. Enjoyed it. Well, there's nothing else you need to do with it. It's like, it's great. You're in that moment and you enjoy it. Time boundaries.
How they can find out more about you, how they can connect with you. What's the best?
They can look me up on LinkedIn. My name is spelt Amechi, and my surname is Udo. They can go to my website, www.yourcareermatters.co.uk, and they can go on and email me, Amechi, Amechi, at yourcareermatters.co.uk.
Lovely. Excellent.
Website's having a makeover, so apologies. It's not the new glam or singing or dancing one. It's one that was made by an Udo. Me. So that will change in time.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me today, Amechi. It's been great talking to you. I think we've covered off a wide range of topics today, so I really appreciate you spending the time.
Thank you. Pleasure.
All this information is available in the show notes on the website powertolivemore.com / in this case 31. The website is the place to go to if you want to find out how I can help you to improve your productivity, organisation, well-being, energy and resilience, your power to live more, which is do more of what you want to do. You might be interested in my Get Stuff Done with Power group accountability system that focuses you on powering through that to-do list and starting and completing those tasks and projects that up to now have eluded you. To find out more, just go to www.getstuffdonewithpower.com. Again, the link for this show is powertolivemore.com / 31, and we look forward to speaking to you next time.
Use your power to live more.